Run out of coffee this morning. Went out and got some more. Just had my cup. Let's respond or react to a Bloomberg video that I saw in my suggestion feeds. Let's do it.
I was speaking to a law enforcement officer. He came home from a bad day at work and left his gun on the kitchen table.
I highly doubt any police officer who has a family, who has children, is just going to take his gun off his belt and sit it on the kitchen table and just leave it there. They're already painting this image of police officers as being incompetent jackasses, because that's what it is. If you're a police officer, would you mind going down the comments below and saying, that's incompetent, that's stupid, that's bullshit, I've heard of things like this happening, but have never known anyone to do anything like this? Here's the thing. It's kind of like the boogeyman. We've all heard it, right? But none of us have ever seen it, or known the person to have seen it, right?
And when he was in the other room, he fell asleep. And his kid found the gun.
This is one of the most common arguments that anyone could make against firearms. And I'll level with you, my parents, when they were raising me and my sister, they got rid of all the guns. They got rid of all the guns because we were a couple stupid kids. And they saw us do stupid things, they disciplined us for it. But because there was no guns in the house, of course we couldn't treat the house as if it was a shooting gallery. But at some point, we were trained up on firearms. I was trained up on firearms. My sister recently is getting a grasp on firearms handling and safety. So this thing about police officers just not giving a damn about firearms being around the house and their kids getting a hold of it, again, it's the boogeyman. We've all heard it. We've all heard it, and that's it. We've all heard it.
His wife was able to intervene and take the firearm away from his kid, and so nothing happened.
It almost seems as if the adults are trained on the matter that firearms are dangerous and deadly weapons, and that kids aren't. And that it's only on the behalf of the cop, apparently in this case. I don't know if this is true. Of course, I'm taking this as they're giving it. Only the cop, the one whose exposure to weapons is constant, he's got weapons training, he qualifies, and of course he brings the weapon home because why not? It's his duty weapon. I'm guessing department policies means that you can bring some shit home. But it almost seems as if deadly weapons are recognized by adults and not by children. Okay.
But let's say his wife hadn't been home. That could have been a very, very bad situation. If that had been a smart gun, it would have been different.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I'm angry, pay attention to me. I'm angry, pay attention to... That's all I'm hearing, man.
Americans have never been more politically engaged on the issue of gun violence. And yet, attempts at widespread gun control laws keep hitting a brick wall.
It almost seems people disagree with you. Almost. It almost seems like saying smart gun is giving them the idea that they think you're calling them stupid. It almost seems like they disagree with you on more than one level. But nah, it's just me.
As the gun debate rages on, some are considering a different kind of solution. One that could have a huge impact on certain kinds of gun violence.
Show the whole video, unless you guys actually want to see more. but I'm just going to tackle some of the points about this. This guy is looking to solve certain parts of gun violence. Some of us don't think gun violence is a big deal, and that gun violence itself is not killing as many people. There are plenty of other things killing more people than firearms do. Like, let's think of alcoholism, alcohol poisoning, obesity, and drownings, or cancer. There are plenty of other things killing more people, focusing on the smallest demographic or the smallest percentile. It's like paying attention to a digit, like a single digit, less than a whole number. Some of us disagree with how it's being done, and some of us disagree with your emotional manipulation, as seen at the beginning of the video, because obviously adults are irresponsible with firearms. How can we expect children to be any better? So we got to be looking out for the children. But there's all sorts of hypocrisy right there, and I'm not going to get into that.
A smart gun is a gun that can only be used by the owner, either because of biometrics, that is fingerprint, or some other technology. Smart guns could prevent thousands of suicides. Let's start there.
Okay. Suicides. You're looking at least you're looking at the bigger number of gun deaths, rather than conflating both numbers of homicides and suicides as one statistic. So it's nice that you're actually looking at suicides alone. And I'm going to say that maybe a good portion of America have safes with locks and barcodes and digital fingerprints. I mean, some locks have fingerprint scans. So if your gun has a fingerprint scan and your lock, your gun safe has a fingerprint scan, and it has a 9-digit, 4-digit input code, like a reader, do you get what I mean? There's companies and manufacturers making things that are already making owning firearms easy and convenient to the end user of the firearm, and more safety-minded in regards to everyone else. These locks and gun cases and safes are fireproof. I mean, for fuck's sakes, they're already out there. You're treating us as a bunch of idiots thinking we've got nothing but our guns in the closets.
If a teenager wants to kill himself and the easiest means is their father or mother's gun, they're unable to do that. It wouldn't stop all mass shootings, but it would stop some of them.
Just love to have at least half the shit this guy has to smoke with, so I could have the mental mindset to read out of his crystal ball.
Fingerprint sensors or other authentication methods into firearms.
I skipped some of the video because it really wasn't important information whatsoever. Because it was only rehashing information we already knew and facts that we hold to be self-evident, such as safe and responsible firearms storage, as opposed to just leaving shotguns and rifles and weapons in plain sight like they did at the beginning of the video, or in a closet that's easily accessible to any child in North America. We're going to move on to the part where they're talking about making firearms safer and smarter. I've noticed they did the same thing with iPhones, and none of those people seem to be any smarter. But here's the thing with firearms. You're overcomplicating a weapon that's only purpose is to shoot. And for the mass majority of the United States, the reason why we have firearms is to defend ourselves. It's not to go out and shoot people that we don't like.
So we've got our live fire prototype here. What this is we've taken an off-the-shelf firearm and incorporated all of our technology into it. So this is my teammate Luke. We've got this here. It's programmed to me. And so if I hand it to you here, good. And you put your finger on the sensor here, it's just going to flash white. So, yeah, no matter how much he pulls on the trigger, it's just going to be completely locked. But if I take it and do the exact same thing, it's going to go red. And what that means is if I close the slide here, it's going to fire.
I'm saying new technology like this is bad. I completely support new technology making firearms effective. But here's the thing. If you have a firearm that works only to you, and say that if you can't use that firearm and a loved one or a family member picks up that firearm's not going to be read to them. So if the point of these firearms is to save lives, and I can't use that firearm to save my life or someone else's life, then they try using that, and it doesn't read to them. So here's the thing. I appreciate new technology when it comes to making firearms safer, but when you have a firearm that reads only to you, it seems more like a thing that the person purchasing the product has to be mindful and aware of. It doesn't seem like something the government should be legislating or lobbying for. And that's the whole point. I don't think the government should be legislating or lobbying for technology that is still relatively new. Give the technology a few years to improve and polish all the faulties and all the problems with it. Give it a few years to polish it out, and maybe it will be something that consumers would consider, not government. That's it for the rest of the video. Honestly, if you guys want to see more, I guess I'll upload a follow-up later. But I was trying to make clear a point, and I'm not exactly best at enunciating or making clear the examples I'm giving. So since liberals and anti-gun people and gun grabbers like dealing in the world of speculation, let's speculate that I can't get a hold of a firearm and all the firearms I have are coded to me through fingerprint sensors. Though the technology is young, and I completely support new technology making firearms safer, but here's the thing. Firearms already have multiple safeties on them aside from an external safety, and even if guns don't have a safety on them, where you manipulate it with your fingers or thumbs, they already have safeties. They have drop safeties, hammer safeties, trigger safeties, mag safeties. So this just seems like another redundant safety feature. And it seems like something that if someone needed to pick up a firearm and protect their life, and that firearm's not coded to them, it seems like they're not going to live. So I guess this is one of those times where gun grabbers try to appease gun owners by saying, hey, you can keep your guns, but we want them to be smart guns. We want those guns to be coded only to you and none of the other people that you know, because we don't want other people whose firearms aren't coded to them. We're going to assume they're all criminals, and we're going to assume they're guilty before, a court proves they're innocent. We're going to assume they're guilty because we don't want those people whose firearms aren't coded to them. We're going to assume they're criminals, and we don't want them handling firearms. This seems like a appeasement where liberals and gun grabbers are saying, hey, you can keep your guns, but we want them coded only to you. That's what it seems like. I'm sure if I look a little more into this, I can probably give a much better detailed explanation about what I think about this. But this technology is still young, and like I said, let's give it a few years before consumers who are looking for, safe handling of firearms, let's give them a few years before they consider something like this. Before this technology, this young technology that may have some rough ends or rough edges to this, let's give it a few years, let the technology perfect itself, and then we'll probably consider it going to market. But government, stop. Just stop getting involved. I mean, even in the video, they fucked it up. Seriously, check this out.
New Jersey, everybody involved, including the state senators that initially introduced the bill, have realized that it didn't quite work the way they were intended. So that law is in the final stages of being repealed. That is on its way out the door.
If you're going to try to have lawmakers and legislators and your congressmen and congresswomen, if you're going to have them to legislate documents about this new technology, then it has to apply to either that state alone, or it has to be federal and apply to all states. The problem is this New Jersey law only applied to New Jersey, and if any of those people in New Jersey moved to other parts of the United States and they felt like they didn't need the gun anymore, they tried selling it, that gun would still be prospect under the New Jersey law, say if they were in Texas. Do you see why this law doesn't work? Do you get it? Do you get it, people? Alright, see you later.